Hello everyone! This video is going to be about the HP TouchSmart 600. This is an all-in-one PC from 2010. A rather interesting unit. Mine is the TouchSmart 600 1140DE. It comes equipped with 4GB of DDR3 RAM, an Intel Core i3 330, a 1TB hard drive and the NVIDIA G210 GPU. It features a 1080p glare screen. It is full touch articulated and it's, I believe, two finger multi-touch. I/O-wise, here on this side we have two USB ports, headphone and microphone jack, and also a button for this interesting bottom light you can maybe see on the camera. On the right side there is a card reader, volume control and the hard drive activity button, as well as the power button. And the main I/O is on the back, hidden beneath here. If you remove this clip here, you will find three more USB 2.0 ports, an Ethernet connection, and then an antenna in, an S-video in, an audio in, as well as audio out, digital audio out, and then there even is an infrared out. For this unit normally comes with some kind of infrared receiver / transmitter. And then back here, underneath this holding mechanism, there is the input for the power supply. Now when I got my unit, unfortunately it did not come with a power supply. It is rated for 19 volts and 7 amps, so quite power hungry. And it uses these standard HP barrel connectors that you find on more or less every HP laptop. So it has an outside and an inside conductor, and also a little pin in the middle that is used for sensing. Note that these are not compatible with the Lenovo plugs. They look very similar, but you cannot get a Lenovo plug in here or vice versa. So there is an official power supply for this unit, but I wasn't able to find it. But you can just, for any other laptop power supply that's HP branded, they're gonna have either 18.5 or in this case 19.5 volts. That doesn't really make any difference, since this PC always steps it down to 12 volts. Just make sure it has enough power. So this one has 7.7 amps, so it even exceeds the power demand of this unit. So it's gonna be good to go, and I ordered this for like 20 bucks used on eBay, and it works fine for me. For the disassembly of the unit, you will have to undo all of these screws here. They are actually Torx screws, but you could actually get away just with the normal flathead screwdrivers. However, I'm going to use the proper Torx bit. The first thing you want to remove is this hinge mechanism at the back. There's just one screw here holding it in. Then you can slide this whole plastic thing underneath here to the bottom side of the unit and then lift it up. And that unveils these four screws that actually hold the hinge in. And now you can already see some things that you could upgrade. Underneath this here is the RAM, so you can just pull this shield off. So there are the two RAM modules stacked on top of each other. These are standard SODIMM DDR3 memory sticks, so the same that you would find in a laptop. These are 2 GB modules each, and 1333 MHz. And what you can see as well is the hard drive cage. If you just unscrew this one screw here, can lift up the whole hard drive cage, disconnect this one power and SATA serial ATA connector, and then you have the hard drive out. You can swap this for every other hard drive, or you could put an SSD in there, whatever you like. So in order to continue the teardown, I'm going to remove all the other screws around the outside. Don't forget the one in here. Down in this compartment on the side there are two more screws screwed into the side of this plastic piece. Before you are able to remove that main plastic piece here, you need to remove the two small plastic strips on the left and right side. And you do so by getting in here with a screwdriver or something and gently lifting it up until this part comes loose. And then you can gently pull it all the way up. And the same goes for the right side. Be careful not to bend these plastic things too much, just lift them up evenly. And that unveils some more screws on both sides. There is yet one more trick to it. On this side there is this optical drive, and you will need to get this plastic piece out to the side, like this. And then you see again here two more screws that you need to undo. In case you didn't do so already, there is this cable management thing here that you'll need to pull free in order to get the case open. So now you can start lifting the backside of the unit upward. And eventually it should come loose like this. Now we start with taking this little shield off the power input connector by removing these two silver screws. Then you can take it out like this. Then we continue with these two black screws. And then we're going to do all the screws around this piece of metal here. So there's one down here, one at the top, and the last screw was hidden here beneath this serial ATA connectors. Now we can lift this whole metal thing up. And now you can already see the main board of the unit. We're just going to go one step further and remove this metal thing here, just because of what I want to see what's underneath. So let me show you a close-up of the main board now. So there's a couple of interesting things about this main board. So power comes in down here. Here's the power supply section. This would be the south bridge, so all the controllers for your peripherals. The RAM slots. Here is the CPU. As I said, in this case is an i3 330M. The socket is PGA 988, and I have a list down below of every CPU that's compatible with this socket. Down here in a little slot we have the AVER media controller that is basically the tuner and that handles the S-Video input. Up here is the Wi-Fi card, and what's really interesting is that the GPU here is actually in a dedicated slot, so you can remove the GPU and possibly upgrade it to another one as well. And what I also found out is that the mainboard itself also has an LVDS connector, so possibly if you wouldn't have the external GPU here, you could run the graphics straight from the main board. So this is basically as far as my teardown would go. Beneath this shield there is the inverter for the screen, and this cage here is the optical drive. So if you undo this screw here, you could slide out the optical drive and replace that. And what I think you could also do is, since the main board has two SATA slots, one going to the hard drive and the other one going to the DVD drive, I think it's possible that you could actually swap the DVD or optical drive for an SSD or something, because you have always the dedicated SATA connector and the 4-pin power connector coming from the main board. So I'm sure it's possible to hack some sort of SSD in there. So then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swap the CPU, and for that I also have to undo the heatsink. And to get the heatsink off, I think I'm going to unscrew the fan first. And I'm also going to unplug the cable going to the fan. And now for the first time I have to change my screwdriver, because these are now Phillips, relatively small ones. And once all these screws are loose, I can start to gently pull this whole cooling compartment up. What you don't want to do is angle it, because then you could actually end up with some scratches in the CPU die. So you really want to get it up evenly. Yeah, and now it actually got loose from the cooling compartment. So then we turn the screw all the way counterclockwise until this whole socket slides back a little, and then you can remove the CPU like this. So as you can see, this is the i3 330M, and here we have the CPU I'm going to replace it with. This is the i3 370M. It's just around about 15% faster, so I know it's not going to be a hell of an upgrade, but this is the CPU I have lying around, so this is what I'm going to use. And I'm doing this more for the purpose of making this video than really getting this thing any faster. So there you have the CPU inserted in the socket. Just make sure there is an arrow on one side, align that arrow with the arrow on the socket. And when you have the CPU in, just turn this black screw here 180 degree clockwise, and then the CPU is tight inside the socket. Now I'm going ahead and removing the leftover thermal compound from the cooler, since I'm going to replace it with new one. So this is now the cleaned cooler surface, and I had a really hard time getting this thermal compound off, because it really got completely solid over time. And when you encounter this issue too, I would suggest you that you take a blunt tool first and scratch off the big parts of it, and afterwards just take some isopropyl alcohol and just gently wipe it until all of the old thermal compound is gone. And then before we put the cooler back on, of course we want to apply some new thermal compound. And what I'm going for is Arctic Cooling MX4. I know there are in theory better thermal compounds out there, but I've used this for many years and it has always given me good results. Plus you can get these in the slightly bigger 20-gram packages relatively cheap. So I'm just going to go ahead and apply a little droplet here to the smaller chip, and then a bigger drop to the bigger chip. You really don't have to care about spreading this out, because once you put the cooler down, basically the whole CPU is going to be covered in that stuff, but that's okay. So then I'm going to put the cooler back on, and again make sure to put it down evenly, not to get it at any angle, because that could end up with some scratches in the CPU die, and you really don't want to do that. And once you have that on, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to screw the CPU plate back in. You notice that it has some numbers from 1 to 4, so this is the order that you should put the screws in. And I'm also going to follow that order, so start on the top right corner, screw that all the way in, then on the opposite side, bottom left corner, screw that all the way in, then number 3, top left, and then the last one, bottom right. And you don't really have to put any torque on these screws, because the force that keeps the CPU in and the cooler on the CPU is not coming from the screws, but instead from the springiness inside this metal here. So just make sure the screws are in, but don't over tighten them, that's not necessary. And then you can go ahead and screw in the cooler again. And there you have it. That's the new CPU installed, and we can now go ahead and put the whole case back together. We're going to start with this piece that I took out on top of the power supply. Then we can go ahead and put this big metal thing back on. Just make sure that you don't scramble the SATA cables. So maybe bend them to the side. Then put that thing on. And there you go. Now you can screw in all the screws. Make sure you don't populate these just now. And for these two, we removed previously this metal shield, slide that in here, put it down, and then there were some silver screws holding that in. And in case you did unscrew the screw for the optical drive down in that hole, don't forget to tighten that up again. There we go. So these 4 screws also come in later. These are from the foot hinge. So then now it's time to put the main plastic part back on. This should be as easy as just putting the black plastic piece on top of the unit, making sure it aligns everywhere, and then gently push at the top side of the unit until all these springs re-engage. Then we can start put all the screws back in, so we start on the side. And then continue on the other side. Then we have these 2 screws at the bottom in the middle, as well as the 2 in the side here and the one in there. And then we have to reattach the feet before you can screw in these 2 screws. So they only go in one way. And then there are the 2 screws right next to the optical drive. Then we can start reattaching these smaller plastic pieces. So one goes over the optical drive with the button to the bottom side of the unit. Slides in like that. Then we can start with the left bezel thing. Just make sure that they are not identical, so we have to find the one that actually fits in the slot. And just press it down. and on the other side as well. Then we have this cable management thing that we can slide on here now. Only goes in one way. You can reclose the whole I/O panel here. Then it's time to put the RAM back in. So start with the lower slot. The RAM only goes in one way. Just put it in at an angle like this, all the way in, and then push it down until it actually engages. And then the second slot on top, same thing. And then you can close the RAM cabinet with this metal shield. Then there is the hard drive. We attach it to the SATA connector. And then slide the whole cage back in. And then screw it in place with this one screw. And now you can put in the hinge. Make sure these 4 silver screws are relatively tight, because these are going to hold the hinge back, and you're going to move that hinge with quite a lot of force. So you want to make sure these screws are in properly. And then, last but not least, you can slide this plastic thing back on. Just lay it down flat and then just slide it all the way. Until it's nice and even with the rest of the casing. And then you should be left with one more black screw that goes in here. And then you're basically done. So then let's turn it around, plug it in and see if it works. And sure enough, it does power on, it seems to work. And it's showing me the new i3 M370. And let's just see if that happens to give us any advantage in the all well-known Windows Performance Index. I know that many people don't really like this tool, but actually I find it quite useful sometimes. So as you can see, these were the scores before. CPU coming in at just 6.2, and now let's see if the new CPU actually gives us any advantage here. And sure enough, the CPU score now jumped up to 6.6. Interesting though, the GPU score dropped from 5.1 to 4.9. So maybe I just have to update the drivers for it again or something. But that shows us that the CPU upgrade was successful and indeed gives some performance improvement. So then this concludes this video. I hope it was informative and was helpful for some of you, so that you might also upgrade your Touch Smart PC and get some more use out of it. Thanks for watching and goodbye.